God revealed something to me today, man, and it was that I ask myself, like, why do I keep messing up? Why do I keep falling? Why do I keep falling? And it just became so clear to me, like something happens before the fall, and I'm trying to identify, what is happening. Is it the things that I'm indulging in, the things that I was looking at, the things that caught my attention? And God revealed to me today, man, that it's none of those things. What comes before the fall? Pride. Pride comes before the fall. And oftentimes I don't like to think of myself as a prideful person because in my mind, I'm like, well, pride is, I think that I'm better than somebody. That's my pride. God is revealing to me that pride is so much more than just that. Pride is thinking of myself higher than I ought to. And he really broke it down for me today. It's like, I'm just going to use pornography as an example, man. I'm not afraid to admit that I struggle. I'm not afraid to admit that I struggle with that. And if I am afraid to admit that I struggle with it, then I'm in a dangerous place. I'm thinking of myself higher than I ought to. It comes from a place of worrying what other people are going to think about me. And I'm not here to serve nobody else, man. If I'm here to serve somebody else, then I'm doing the wrong thing. I seek to serve God. I seek to stand in alignment with God and live an honorable, pleasing life in his eyes. Nobody else's. That's where I'm at. So I'm not afraid to admit that I struggle. Matter of fact, I believe that I'm going to find liberty in my struggles. And the word says that there's no sin that we face that isn't common unto man. So for me, testifying through my struggles, I have hope that it will help somebody else in their struggles too. I know I don't struggle alone. And so God was showing me, man, and I'm just going to try to give it to you in the way that he gave it to me. It's like, whenever I go a stretch of time without, and we're just going to stick on the subject of pornography, when I go a length of time without giving into it, whether that's a week or a month or 2 months, something begins to happen inside of me. And I just seek for the Lord to guide my mind back to the place where it was. And I understand that it's like, I'm becoming aware that I enter like a flow state. And when I'm in that flow state, it's because I'm not worried about what I'm sounding like or what I'm saying or how I'm being perceived or how I might even be judged. I'm in a flow state because all of my attention is within the kingdom inside of me. So bear with me as I seek to get to that place. This is a new thing for me to be able to explore that kingdom and get into that place while being observed. It's foreign and it's a difficult thing to do, but I trust that he's going to lead me through it. But anyways, he showed me I shouldn't think of myself higher than I ought to, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how long I've went without doing it. I'm still guilty. I'm still guilty. If you think of someone who has murdered somebody, okay, and they stand before a trial, their own trial, before a jury, and they're being tried for the crime that they committed, they are going to be found guilty for their deed, and they're going to be punished accordingly. And it doesn't matter if that person only murdered one person in their life, and they've spent the next 3 years in prison. Although they haven't murdered anybody for over 900 days, they're still a murderer, and they're still being tried for the deed they committed 900 days ago. Just because you haven't messed up for 900 days don't mean you didn't mess up 900 days ago. You're still a murderer, and you're still guilty. And so that's kind of what the Lord is revealing in my life, man, that it doesn't matter how long I go without doing something. I should not think of myself higher than too highly. I should not think too highly of myself because I'm still guilty. I'm still an adulterous man. I watched pornography for 20 years of my life, and I can't even begin to imagine the amount of images and the time that I spent and the amount of people that in my heart I've had adultery with. I'm guilty. It doesn't matter how long I go without doing it. I'm still guilty for all the times that I did do it. And you see what happens is it's like whenever I find myself in a place where I've went a stretch of time without doing any certain given sin, I find myself not wanting to be around people who are struggling with the same sins. Not because I think I'm better than them, but because I'm afraid that I'm going to fall back into my ways. Because you're struggling, if I hang out with you, I might struggle too. And God gave me eyes to see that that's me putting my faith in myself, putting my faith in my strength, my ability to say no. And because I'm weak, I can't be around someone who's weak too. I need to be around someone who's strong because internally I'm weak. But you see, when I put my faith in Jesus, when my faith is in Jesus, doesn't matter if you're struggling. I'm relying on Jesus to catch me and carry me. Oh man, I just don't feel worthy. If I'm going to share my true thoughts and feelings right now in this moment, I don't feel worthy. I feel like I'm just rambling. I think that anything that I have to say in this moment isn't worth nothing, and that I'm not getting to the point. Nobody's going to want to watch it. That's what I'm struggling with right now in this very moment. But I have to come to know that it's not about me. And sure, it's uncomfortable, and it wouldn't take much for me to just get up and say, I'm done with this. I'm going to go find something else to do. But what weight is anything that I do with my day-to-day going to carry if it's not blessed by God? And if this is where God wants me to be, and this is where the blessing lies, this is where I want to find myself. It adds a whole nother element to walking by faith, because I don't know what's on the other side of this. I don't know if I'm ever going to post any of this, or this was just a test for me to walk through, or this is going to reach millions of people and help people find liberation. I don't know. It's not comfortable. And I find myself in a place often where it's like, if I can't see the fruit that it's going to produce, or I don't think that it's going to produce any fruit, I find myself not engaging in it, because I don't want to waste my time. God's dealing with me on that too. That operating in that state of mind oftentimes breeds selfishness. If what I'm doing with my time doesn't aid to my personal gain, I deem it as a waste of time. But I have to know that the real blessing lies in following his commands, and he said it's better to serve than to be served. Blessed is the one who receives, but more blessed is the giver. All I know, man, is that I want what God has for me. God has revealed so much to me recently that, he doesn't turn away from me whenever I fall short and I sin. But that doesn't give me the free rein to sin, because there is a cause and effect. There is a consequence to my actions. One of those consequences being that, I've tasted enough of what God has for me, and I've tasted what it's like to have to walk in the blessing of God by walking in his presence and keeping his commands, that that's what I want. That's what I want. That's where I want to find myself. That's where I want to be in my life. But it's like, for me to indulge in any given sin knowingly, I have to step outside of God's presence. I have to say, I'll be right back, God, because I want to go do this. But what I find is that whenever I do that, I lose all my momentum. Sure, God is merciful, and he will accept me again with open arms, especially whenever I find that what I just indulged in riddled me with guilt and shame and embarrassment. He's quick to accept me back and have mercy on me and grace, because his love is that good. But that doesn't mean that I come back to him unscathed. I get beat up in my sin. I get beat up outside of his presence. He is my protection. He is my refuge in the time of storm. And the second I step outside of that refuge, it's storming. And I get beat up by the winds. The winds blow against my house and it falls over. Some things even get destroyed. It's like I take multiple steps back. I was building something. I was building something in the Lord's presence. And the moment I stepped out of it, I started destroying it. And it takes time for that to be rebuilt again. And again, he's opened my eyes to see that there's a reason that I keep falling. And it's my pride, thinking too highly of myself, thinking that it's anything that I'm doing that is worthy of any kind of praise or honor. Because in reality, if I do anything good, I have to go back to the moment that Christ came into my life and understand that had that not have happened, there would be no good things happen in my life. So he gets the glory for it all. And if I begin to get into a place where I seek to receive glory for anything I've done, I'm taken away from him. And I don't want to do that. Ultimately, I'm learning that I need to be in a place of absolute humility. And God gave me a vision today, man. It's like he showed me, what would you pick? He said, what would you pick? Would you pick someone who is clean cut, polished up, never told a lie, someone who is responsible, someone who is trustworthy, someone who's never even cursed? Would you pick them to live with you? Or the person standing beside them is a known murderer. They're a rapist. They're a liar. They're a thief. They have no remorse for their actions. Who would you choose to live with you? It's a pretty clear choice that we would choose the person who is clean cut. You know, no one wants to live with a murderer. No one wants to try to put their trust in a rapist. Can you imagine that? Really take it there and imagine that. What would you choose? And he showed me that I should never think more highly of myself because I am the person that wouldn't be chosen. If I was being judged according to the standards of this kingdom, of the world, and the rulers of it, the principalities and rulers of darkness and the king of this world would accuse me for all of the evil stuff that I've done because I've been a liar. I've been a thief. I've been a rapist, even though I haven't, acted on it physically. But he said, if you look at a woman lustfully in your heart, you've committed adultery already. He said, if you hate your brother in your heart, you've committed murder already, because everything happens in here internally before it happens external from us. If I was to kill someone, something happened inside of me before I did it physically. I had a hatred inside of me for somebody enough to take their life physically. And that happened before the physical act happened. So I am all of those things. I'm guilty. And it doesn't matter how long or how big of a stretch of time comes in between the last time that I did it, I'm still that thing. I revert back to the murderer who hasn't murdered anybody for over 900 days, 3 years, but he's still in prison for the murder he committed 3 years ago. And in the eyes of the world, he's still a murderer. But thanks be to God that Jesus looks upon me and sees that I'm fertile ground. And that if I would abide in him and he abides in me, I could produce much fruit. And I'm thankful that he seeks to see it come to pass. That he doesn't judge me according to the world's standards. And I'm thankful that he doesn't look at the outward appearance, but he sees my heart. Something that the Lord has revealed to me is that even though I fall, even though I still make mistakes, even though I still desire wicked things, my heart has changed. He has changed my heart. And I know this because if I was granted the ability to choose to live any possible way, I would leave all the wicked stuff behind. The desire to pursue wicked things, the desire to create wicked things, the desire for things wicked to be desired would be left behind. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. If I could free the world and everyone in it of the desire to create wicked things, to consume wicked things, to produce wicked things, I would leave it behind. I would wipe it from the face of this earth. I know that in my heart. And I would pursue things that were honorable. If I had a choice of what we could indulge in on a day-to-day basis, it would be the fruits of the Spirit. Peace, love, liberty, kindness, compassion, sharing, creation, inspiration, laughter, joy, nonstop. And I'm thankful for that, because whenever the enemy has me beating myself up, Jesus shows me my heart. And I can remember a day where my heart was not the way that it is today. I can remember very specifically working in a factory maybe 6 years ago. And I would get through my day by just fantasizing about what life would be like if I could do anything I wanted. Like if I hit the lottery for $1 billion, what would I do? What would I pursue? And let me tell you, family, the things that I would imagine and the things that attracted me or that I wanted to create and would indulge in if I had the opportunity to was downright disgusting. And if a portion of it could have came to pass, it wouldn't have been sustainable. It would have killed me. And so I thank God today for the evidence of the change that's in my heart. And, sure, there's still mountains that I face today, but I can testify that he's even using those mountains for his good. And that, I still fall because pride still begins to arise in my life. So I'm thankful to be in a place today where I'm aware of that and I'm conscious of it. And I seek to remain mindful of who I am and who Jesus is. He's the only one that is good. He's the only one that's good. And I will never be good, because on the day that the world is judged, he will remain the only one who is good. He will remain the only one who is worthy of praise and who is worthy of glory, and all the glory will be his. I have not lived a perfect day in my life. He's the only one who did it. He's the only one who was blameless. He's the only one who was worthy. And he paid the debts for my shortcomings, all the laws that I broke, that I will be accused of, and that I will be tried against. He paid the debts for me. He paid the debts for you. I'm not afraid to admit my shortcomings, family. People who I come in contact, who are in the faith, who are in the leadership roles, when we get honest with each other, we're struggling in the same things. We like to put on a persona. I like to put on a persona that I got it put together. I want to walk around this life put together. But God's shown me that it's not good for me to do that, because I separate myself from people who aren't put together. Because I'm afraid of not being put together again. I don't want to do what's dishonorable. I never, ever wake up thinking, okay, I'm going to break God's laws today because it feels good, because I just don't care. It's quite the opposite. So I ask myself, why? Why do I keep falling? What comes before the fall? Pride. I get prideful. I'm thankful that God has mercy on me. I'm thankful that God still welcomes me with open arms. I'm thankful that God still uses me in spite of me. And I have to remember that when Christ came to me, I was in the wickedest place of my mind, of my heart, in my life. And I have to remember that it was never about me. It was never about anything that I abstained from doing. It was never any good thing that I had ever done. It was only him and his goodness. He chose to save me. And in the midst of walking with him, sure, I found freedom from plenty of things. Giants and mountains that I used to face, he helped me walk over, and now they're behind me. I still have mountains in front of me, but I'm finding that in the mountains that I face today are actually what he uses to save me from destroying it all. Because if I would continue in this pride and become so riddled with pride, what other areas would I fall in? His works are so far beyond my understanding, and it's so hard to think that, a God who detests the wicked things that I do would even still love me, for one, but more than that, use my failures and shortcomings to show me myself. That in an attempt to make me a better person, even understanding just a little bit of that is like incredible. So yeah, this is my first time, I guess, kind of doing something like this. And it's a nerve-wracking thing, man. It's a nerve-wracking thing. It's like, it's easy to get in the presence of an audience and have it put together, have all the right things to say. But whenever God moved me today to say, you know what? You just go and you set the cameras up and I will lead you in what to say. And it's like leading up to this moment, it starts to stir inside of me of what he's going to have me talk about. It's like, God, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want people to know that I struggle. And he reminds me quickly that it's never about me. It's never been about me, and it never will be about me. I can't save nobody. My abstinence from doing anything wrong isn't going to save anybody. It's only going to puff up my image. And that the true power comes from my weakness. His strength is glorified in my weakness. His love is glorified in my weakness. Because I can sit here and tell you today that I fail and I fall short, and he still loves me. And so the things that you struggle with, the things that you fall short and that the enemy uses to try to put a void in between you and his relationship, cast that to the side, family. He said, come as you are. He still loves you. He has mercy for you. He's the only good one. He's the only one who lived a perfect day. We will never live a perfect day, and I'm okay with that. Because he deserves all the glory. He deserves all the honor. Never me. Never me, because I'm so tainted and I've been tainted. It doesn't matter how long I go without doing something wrong. The fact remains that I did wrong. I'm guilty. I broke God's laws. And it doesn't matter how long I go without doing it again. I'm guilty of doing it. And, just being honest and open and transparent, I feel so relieved right now. Because it's real, man. It's real. I would love to think that I'm a good person and I don't struggle and I got it put together and I got the answers, and that's not the case, man. That's not the case. I face trials. I face tribulations. I face struggles, and I fall short daily. And I make the mistake of thinking higher of myself than I ought to. It's like the more I invest into myself, the less I invest into Jesus. Almost as if I expect Jesus to clean me up to the point where I don't need him no more. In reality, it's like, is that what I'm seeking in my heart? It's like, Lord, I only need you because I struggle, and I need you to fix me. And as soon as you fix me and I don't struggle no more, then I can just go about my life and live it. That's not the meaning of my life. That's not the meaning of my purpose, and that's not what I'm called to do. I'm called to glorify him. I'm called to worship him. I'm called to keep him first. And that's where I fall short. That's why pride is such a dangerous thing. Thinking too highly of myself has nothing to do with thinking I'm better than anybody. It's thinking too highly of myself. That's my pride. And I always fall. I always fall when it happens. It's crazy. It's like the moment I start to think like, wow, I haven't watched porn for 2 months. Yeah, attaboy. That's the night I watch porn. That's the night that I fall. But it's the days that I say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for sustaining me. Thank you for protecting me. Those are the days that I find freedom. I'm just thankful for his mercy, man. I'm thankful for this moment, and it's a scary thing to put this on the internet. You know, just such a real moment like this, but I trust him. I trust him, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'm going to have to answer to him. And I want to be found being faithful in him. You know, it's not about being found being blameless. That's not going to happen. So I need to rid my mind of that, of like thinking that it's my abstinence from from breaking God's laws that I'm going to find favor. No, it's my faith in Jesus. It's my faith. You know, throughout this journey of seeking the Lord and making videos, and it's like this has always been a desire of my heart to be able to turn the cameras on and enter that place that I find myself in when the cameras are off. This free-flowing place of abundance, the word that's inside of me. And it's like my fear of judgment, or my fear of not being perfect, or again, thinking too highly of myself, causes me to take the word and the authenticity that's inside of me and try to put it into something that I think is presentable. And I ask myself, you know, I don't even ask myself. I go back on my phone and watch TikToks. You know, TikTok will show you the memories from, you know, this day, on this day, 2 years ago. And I'll watch the video and it's like, man, I can see it. I can see how, in a sense, fake it was. It came from a real place. The words that I gave came from a real place. But then it's like I took the authenticity that God gave me in a moment and then turned it into something that I thought it needed to be. And because of that, I almost cringe when I watch it. I look at it and say, what did I do, man? That's not me. That's not what God gave me. That's not what God created. And again, man, it's just a testimony of his mercy that he didn't strike me down. In fact, it's like he didn't even see me or judge me where I was, but he knew that there would be a day where I look back on it and see it for myself. It's like that's how God works, man. God will let us see it for ourselves. And that's whenever we find liberty. Whenever I realized that it was greater to put my faith in Jesus than in anything that I could do, that's when I found liberty. Even like in the drug addiction, when I put my faith in Jesus to free me more than myself or a doctor or a program, I found freedom. And I know that the mountain that I face today, It's what he's working out, man. He's working it out inside of me. And when my faith is in him and him alone, and nothing that I could do and nothing that I've done and nothing that I ever will do, I have faith that one day I will walk and that mountain will be behind me. So many things, man. God is so good. Even this moment of getting on here and getting vulnerable and getting real and uncut, unedited, unscripted. That's a mountain that I have faced. I don't know the frequency of which I'm going to make these videos. I know that I seek to serve the Lord, man. I seek to do what is right in his eyes and just be obedient to the call. I love doing this. I love being used. I love having that sense of purpose and knowing that I'm in right standing with God and that I'm being obedient to him. Fills my heart more than anything that I could pursue. And so I can sit here and say that I hope that these videos come in abundance. I hope that God can use me and that just to speak, man, to speak life. I saved a Bible verse, spoke to my heart. It's 1 Chronicles chapter 16. Let the whole earth sing to the Lord. Each day proclaim the good news that he saves. Publish his glorious deeds among the nations. Tell everyone the amazing things that he does. Great is the Lord. He is most worthy of praise. He is to be feared above all gods. The gods of other nations are mere idols, but the Lord made the heavens. And so that's what I seek to do, man. I seek to tell the world what he's done for me, who he is in my life, and just proclaim his good news. And so I thank you. I thank him. I thank you for watching this video, and pray that something in it has inspired you or uplifted you or moved you closer to him, and that you would see him in me and know that I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I'm just as guilty as everybody else. And that if it wasn't for the work that he did, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here today making this video and probably even breathing. My judgment would have already came to pass. And so if I was going to ask you to pray for me, pray that I can walk in the Spirit and remain humble in humility, not forgetting who I am, that I could walk my days knowing who he is and that he carries me and sustains me, and that I can be in a place in my heart where I can offer up authentic praise and gratitude because of that understanding. It's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to lose sight of what he has done and how far he's carried me. And to think that I'm doing something good. My pastor always says, be careful not to read your own press. When people start giving you attaboys, when people start praising you, don't read into it. It's so true, man. It's so true. God bless you, family. The Lord is with us. The Lord loves us. The Lord cares for us. The Lord wants us. He seeks to produce fruit in our life. If we abide in him and he abides in us, much fruit we will produce. That's all I got today. Till the next time. Till the next time.